we're kicking off today with SmackDown, and with the Tribal Combat match now just 1 week away, Roman Reigns and Jey Uso kicked off last night's show with an intense promo. Jey kicked off strong, saying he agreed to be the right-hand man because he once believed Roman could lead WWE, in possibly a dig to Reigns not being seen as a locker room leader because of his relaxed schedule. The tribal chief fired back, claiming that Jey Uso was only the right-hand man because he made it so, and went even further, claiming Jey only got the honor because Jimmy Uso was hurt. It was quite the line with a lot of meaning, as Reigns was implying that when Jimmy was hurt, Jey took the opportunity to boost his own career, which is sort of being repeated right now. After all, Jimmy is unfortunately injured again, and Jey has now pushed his way into a world title match, so the story, at least the one Roman is telling, is that Jey has no issue leaving his brother behind. We have to imagine that Jimmy Uso will have been watching all of this unfold, and WWE could be sowing the seeds for a Jimmy Uso versus Jey Uso feud after SummerSlam in another twist in the Bloodline saga. The segment ended with Jey quite literally getting in Roman's face to remind his cousin that he's pinned him already and plans to do so again. Fans eager to see Jey in action would have to wait until the main event, which saw Uso face Grayson Waller, with Reigns, Solo Sikoa, and Paul Heyman watching from ringside. In one very notable moment, Waller mocked Reigns' cousin The Rock with a people's elbow of his own, continuing to tease something with the Brahma Bull, which is expected for SummerSlam. While Jey would win the match, Solo Sikoa would ambush Jey, but the former tag champion would turn things around and hit a spear of his own on Reigns himself. A thunderous ovation from the crowd followed, as momentum continues to be on Jey's side as we head into Tribal Combat. And what did you think to the developments this week and the tease of both Waller and The Rock, as well as Jimmy versus Jey? Let us know in the comments. We've got some concerning news regarding Vince McMahon next, as the executive chairman of WWE recently had major spinal surgery. Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful reports that McMahon had a 5-hour surgery on his spine last week, which was described as a pretty intensive procedure. We don't know what exactly caused McMahon to undergo the surgery, but it was said to be a successful operation, and the chairman has been recovering at his home over the past week. In an update, Fightful added that this life-altering surgery kept McMahon from last night's episode of SmackDown and will keep him from next week's Go Home Raw before SummerSlam. WWE's head of creative, Triple H, was not present at the most recent Raw, presumably because of McMahon's operation, and this week's episode of The Red Brand was run behind the scenes by Bruce Pritchard. The report adds that the WWE kept this surgery a secret from the WWE roster, with many only finding out about it when they saw news of Vince's operation break on social media. McMahon has been back in WWE for over half a year now after retiring from the company last year, and whatever you may think of the man, we'd like to wish him a full recovery from intense surgery. More from SmackDown now, as the US Championship Invitational concluded this week, with Santos Escobar earning a title shot at Austin Theory. After making it through a fatal 4-way 2 weeks ago and facing Theory last week, Escobar bested LWO ally Rey Mysterio this week, but some very weird things happened during this match. As we returned from commercial break, audiences at home saw Rey in the corner being checked on by a member of the medical team, clearly having suffered an injury during the ad break. It was later shown that Rey had injured himself during a suicide dive to the outside, with commentary saying he suffered a whiplash effect and the doctor ruled Rey unable to continue. This gave Escobar the tainted victory, but the strange thing is that initially, it was reported that Rey was never injured and that this angle is for storyline purposes. In an update though, it was revealed that Rey actually is injured and that originally the plan had been for Escobar to get the clean win. There was also supposed to be a backstage segment after the match that ended up getting nixed, and at this time, it is unclear how long Rey will be out for with this injury. This was certainly an odd series of events in the match, and hopefully more details will emerge in the coming days, but for now, we're wishing Rey a speedy recovery. More from SmackDown now, as Karrion Kross was in action against Carl Anderson, and after decimating the Good Brother, would lock in the Kross jacket for good measure. This post-match attack by Kross was only broken up when AJ Styles and the OC made the save, but we can't help but wonder as to why exactly this feud is still going on. This feud began many months back, and the angle, like the vast majority of Kross's work since coming back to WWE last year, hasn't exactly been a hit with audiences. WWE are likely building to a Styles vs. Kross match, but this is something we've seen multiple times already, and comments from fans on social media have made it clear that they are tired of this feud. When Kross returned to WWE alongside Scarlett, expectations were high, but do you think this run can be salvaged after underwhelming feud after underwhelming feud, or is the damage already done? During this year's WWE draft, a dozen or so talents from NXT were called up to the main roster, but not everyone found a new home on Raw or SmackDown. Many superstars were in the draft pool and were left undrafted, officially making them free agents, but we now know more about two superstars in particular. When Ringside News asked for clarification on the situation for Von Wagner and Zion Quinn, who were both in the draft pool, they were told that plans are now for the pair to stay in NXT. This is quite the odd decision given that both men were part of the supplemental drafts, and it was made clear by the source in WWE that a call-up could still happen this year. With Wagner and Quinn staying in NXT, it's puzzling as to why WWE bothered putting them in the draft pool at all, but all we know for now is don't expect to see them on Raw or SmackDown soon. SummerSlam news now, as we are just 1 week away from the biggest party of the summer, with a star-studded card in store for the show in Detroit. With that said, there are some notable names who are not on the card yet, and fans expecting the undisputed WWE Tag Team titles to be on the line will be disappointed. The Wrestling Observer newsletter has confirmed that Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn won't put their titles on the line at SummerSlam due to the prizefighter's broken rib. On Raw, Owens was written off the show with an attack by the Judgment Day, and it's unclear when exactly he'll be back. This is a massive change of plans for SummerSlam, as there was a time when WWE were planning a fatal 4-way tag title match which would have featured a reunited DIY. It's a shame that the tag champions won't be competing at SummerSlam, but ultimately Owens' injury takes precedence, and it hopefully won't be much longer until he's back to 100%. And we're ending with Dominik Mysterio, who has been at odds with Rey Mysterio for close to a year now, even facing the Hall of Famer at WrestleMania. Recently, Rey said that despite their differences, he's proud of his son's NXT North American title win, but this feeling of respect isn't mutual. During a recent Q&A, Dominik was asked if he'll ever reconcile with his father, and said that he thinks about it a lot, and sometimes he can't sleep because he thinks about teaming with his father. It was a surprisingly touching moment from the Judgment Day member, who then clarified that he can't reconcile with his father because he considers his father to be Eddie Guerrero in a cruel twist by Dirty Dom. While there has been reports of WWE revisiting the Rey vs. Dominik feud, possibly for the North American title, that hasn't played out on TV yet. But with this latest dig from Dominik, don't count out one final match between the two. Well guys, that's our news for today. Please share your comments below. Also hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and hit the bell icon to receive all notifications. And as always, thanks for watching.